Well, hello. Good evening. It is episode 3 of Articulated Chat, chatting with Chad. And I see we have an awesome group of people with us in the chat tonight already so far. I can't thank you all for hanging out with me and my special guest. And my special guest tonight happens to be probably the biggest influence on my costuming and my adult collecting. And yeah, so this is the one who empowers me to do it. It's my partner in crime. Everyone's seen her around, but tonight you actually get to talk with her and hang out with her and ask her all sorts of stupid, sweaty ass questions. So without further ado, here she is, the ma'am, the myth, my wife, the CoMa'Amder. Hi.
Hi.
What are you doing?
I'm just hanging out at home with you.
I'm not
And
at
the
home.
cats. Yes, you are at
I'm
home,
not
but
at home. I'm in my
you're
super secret toy room cave that's someplace else.
you're 30 feet from me, dear.
Don't ruin the illusion. What are you doing?
Okay, I won't ruin it. Yes, you're in the ether, the multiverse.
Yeah, I'm in the multiverse. So, hi there, ma'am. Thanks for being here
Hi.
with me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So we got a lot of people here hanging out with us tonight. So I'm just gonna run them down.
Oh,
So Chris is here,
okay.
Gaz is here, Zazel's here.
What's
So
up,
Sarge is
Zazel?
here himself. Yeah. I know you got some questions for him. We'll get into that.
I do.
Backwards is here, and Backwards says, is Cobra Commander going to be on? Yeah.
I'm right here.
Yeah, that's the thing. There she is right there. Jeff Morris is here. Backwards is here. Will Parks is here. What's up, Will? We got tons of people. Phil's here all the way from Japan. Thanks for being here, Phil. And then we got Scuba Pete in the house. Scuba Pete's like, do you like stuff?
I do collect stuff, Scuba.
Ma'am, do you like stuff?
I do like stuff.
Ma'am likes stuff. And then all the way from the UK, George Aiken is here himself.
What's up,
And
George?
George, I know you can't stay long, so I'm gonna ruin the whole new pickups thing that the ma'am and I were gonna talk about at the end. Not new pickup lines that I use on her, because all my pickup lines are old and sad.
No, they're great.
But George Aiken, good sir, this is for you to see. I know that the fog lights are gone off the bumper, which is kind of a bummer. But there it is. 83 Z Force Jeep with wheels. Bam. So that's for you, George. I know you're not going to be able to stay.
No
Oh, yeah.
problem.
Yeah, you got that.
I do have this signed
You do have
by
that.
the man himself.
The man himself.
David
Big
Slaughter.
Bacon, Big Bacon's here. So, Patrick, I got to say, if anyone's not seen any of Big Bacon stuff on YouTube, go check it out. It's funny. It's hilarious. And he was reviewing the retro Walmart screaming face Duke, that terrible version of Duke that they should not have re-released as a retro. And spoiler alert, so Patrick chucked it in the trash. And as he was just about to, the ma'am here was like, is he going to throw that in the garbage? And then immediately just threw it in the trash. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True
And
story.
oh, hey babe, just in case you were wondering, so Lawrence from A Punk with Toys is here. So now we can begin.
Okay, good. I'm
Yeah,
glad.
that's good. Vickman's here, the chat's jumping, everybody's talking to each other. Ratface 44 reviews is here. So what's up, James? Glad you're here. And moving on. And then Scuba Pete says, Mrs. Articulated with a heart. Very sweet.
Yeah,
Right.
that's me.
Shauna's in the house. Shauna says hello.
Hi.
Oh, look, babe. Simple tricks and nonsense. It's like when me and Newt are both on stream and she gets the cool nerd room and I get the living room. Well, she's in the game room. You can't
I
see the
am in
rest
our
of it, but yeah, that's our gaming room. So there's some
Yes.
collectibles in there, but it's mostly gaming stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, it's all our games and movies, and then my cat's in here too, because he came with me. He can't go more than 5 feet from me.
It's still a freaking cool room, Johnny. And so now everyone's just talking to themselves. So Classified's here. What's up, Classified? Okay, cool. So anyway, we got through most of the greetings. Oh, TJC says hi, Chad and CoMa'Amder.
Hi.
There you go. Hi there. Hi. It's good that people get to see you and talk to you, right? Because you're kind of that
Yeah.
enigma. You just come in and say hi and go hi, and then you just kind of go away. So we're gonna hang out and
Yes.
chat for a little bit. So
Yes,
cool.
I do.
Oh, and then George is asking, what is it with toy channels and cats?
Well, I have a cat right now. I'm waiting for my therapy dog. So whenever he or she arrives, maybe you'll get the
Yeah,
privilege to meet them.
yeah. We used to have a dog. So yeah, our
Yeah.
our baby.
Hmm.
And then Phil asks, "Is your whole house lit purple?" I hope so. Actually, these lights are blue, and that light is red. Thank you. And that's not really purple behind her, but because it's an LED strip, it kind of freaks out.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it's not too bad.
yeah, it's not really. Well, it's purple. Whatever. Who
It's okay.
cares?
I like
Anyway,
purple.
so ma'am,
Hmm.
let's let's chat.
All right,
What
let's
what I
chat.
really want to see is you and I are going to talk some stuff, but I really want people to have the opportunity to like pick your brain, ask you stupid questions, maybe bug you a little bit,
That's
because
okay.
then you can taste my pain. I'm
Yes.
just kidding. No one bugs
Oh,
me.
I welcome. Anybody can ask me whatever they'd like within reason.
So you are a member of the Finest Costume Club,
I
and
am.
you and I and our friend Mike are we represent the entirety of the Southwest Rattler Squadron in New Mexico because there's only
We do.
us three members in New Mexico.
Yes.
What I don't know what insight do you have as being a GI Joe costumer?
Well, I think it's always different for a female costumer versus a male costumer.
Okay,
And I know that especially yesterday, because we did go to Albuquerque Comic Con. For those of you that didn't know, that's where I picked up that sweet signed photo. Actually, I picked that up for you.
yeah, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that later. So.
We will. It's always interesting sometimes, the general response. People tend to go a little goobers for boobers because I do have that molded, when I'm Baroness, I should say, uh, the molded breastplate, and it is accurate.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it is.
for my not so very earth friendly nerds, I guess you could say, the ones that tend to be in a mom's basement. They tend to get a little weird, a little too touchy feely sometimes, but hey, that's okay. But generally, my response is actually really, really welcoming, really good. A lot of people always have like a ton of questions, or I always enjoy it. I have fun, especially when I get to dress with you, even though they always confuse you for Cobra Commander, which is quite funny. But
I
um,
know. I never understand why I'm walking around as a Cobra officer and you're there obviously as the Baroness, and I always get, "Oh yeah, Cobra Commander," and I'm like, There's no Cobra Commander here, man." And then at Southwest Toy Mania, you were in your Crimson Baroness, and what did that
I
guy
was.
ask you who you were?
So when I'm Crimson Baroness, I tend to get people that ask me, one, if I'm Laura Croft from Tomb Raider, which I'm not, or if I'm Deadpool,
Deadpool. So
which
dumb.
I'm not either. So most people are most recognizable, I think, to most people, especially like my students when I do dress up, when I do my Cobra Commander. They go crazy, and actually, it's probably a little scary for them
So now everybody's chiming in, right? Hey, are you Deadpool? Are you Deadpool? Deadpool.
No, but I did meet Deadpool yesterday, and
That
he was
guy looks
actually
so
awesome.
good. Yeah, so there was the
Hmm.
male and the female Deadpool, and they were a
There
couple, like
was.
we were a couple, which and Johnny and Newt from Simple Tricks and Nonsense, they're also masters of that whole couples costuming. And you got a
Hmm.
couple of questions, ma'am.
Yes.
So let me throw them up. So Zazel asks, "Ma'am, your Cobra costumes are always awesome, but have you ever cosplay as a Joe?" So
Not yet. I'm hoping for Joe Fest. I was either gonna do Lady J or
Cover Girl,
CoverGirl were the two that I was thinking
where'd
about
you go?
doing. I haven't decided
You
which one.
froze.
Uh-oh, did I?
You froze. Hello.
Well, I'm using the same internet as you. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Did our Wi-Fi just spaz out?
I think it did.
Wow. Anyway, so yes, Cover Girl, right? We were going to work on either Lady J or Cover Girl, but
Correct.
I I already found the sweet wool lined jacket for your Cover Girl. So spoiler alert.
Oh,
Hey
well,
there.
cover girl
What's
it
up?
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We lost some viewers when we spazzed out there, but that's okay.
Oh, that's okay. They'll
Oh,
come
and
back.
then look, Patrick says I'm a lucky man. Yes, thank you
Oh,
very much. I am. And then somebody wants to know if you're Deadpool, and then Chris asks, what female figure you would like to do in the future for Finest Costume Club? Oh, you already answered that.
yeah, either cover girl. I've always kind of had a thing for the dreadnoughts too. I wouldn't mind doing one of those. I know they're not really like Joe specific because, dreadnoughts are separate, but I don't know, maybe something fun, something different. Might have to
Dreadnoks
feel
make
that
some
one
of the
out.
best cosplay.
They do. They do.
Yeah,
That's just more wigs that I have to put on and
yeah, no, that's true. And then Johnny had a question, and he asks, if you could create a new female GI Joe character or Cobra, what would she be like? Hair color, specialty,
oh,
preferred weapon color scheme.
hmm. Well,
It's funny because I made a custom of the ma'am actually, but
you
go ahead and answer that
did.
question.
No, I think probably someone I don't know, I always feel kind of funny talking about myself, but I would probably do what my call sign is, which is Rhino. I would probably do that one. That would probably be her name. And then probably something combat arms. My preferred weapon is my M4, so she would probably carry like her M4. Color scheme? Oh, that's tough. Favorite color is green, so and emerald green specifically. So any type of play on those or tan or anything like that, which I know is super hua hua army, but it's just my favorite color.
It's still cool.
Yeah, no, I think as a personality, I think maybe her backstory, I don't want to say rags to riches. I feel like that's oftentimes overdone. Um, but maybe just something similar to like Lady J, sort of breaking boundaries, breaking barriers. I respect a lot of women like that, and I see a lot of myself in Lady J, which is why I've always kind of liked that character.
Well, even Scarlet, right? So my whole argument with Scarlet, and I always use you for that argument, is they were writing the file card for Scarlet in 1981 that she was a Ranger
Mhm.
School graduate. When did you go to Ranger School, ma'am?
I went, let's see, it would be 5 years ago now.
So 2017
Um,
ish.
2018,
Yeah.
towards the
No.
end of 2018,
But I
the
mean,
in the
that's
summer.
that's my whole point is that in 1981 there was not even a consideration of females at Ranger School or combat
No,
arms at all. So
no, there weren't. They lifted that ban. Let's see, what was it? In 15, they didn't really allow us till 16. They were still trying to work it out. And I came in on that tail end of 2016, 2017 with that first wave that they pushed through. So,
because when you went to basic, you couldn't go to Fort Benning basic training, even though you were going to be an infantryman. Which do you get offended when people say infantryman that you're a woman in the infantry?
no, because the term is non-gender exclusive or inclusive. It's just a term for a specific MOS or job in the
There you go.
military. That's all it is. That's why I always laugh when people are like, "Well, you're an infantry woman." Like, no, that's not the history behind it. But
Right.
I try to, I know people are trying to do that whole woke thing, like Velma, the new Scooby Doo series.
We're not talking about that.
No,
We're
no,
not
we're
talking
not
about
talking
that.
about that. Don't get me on that rant.
So then Lawrence asks, so you two dress up as Cobra Commander and Deadpool? Ah, jerk. Anyway,
Yes,
no,
I do.
yes, yes, no, yes, no. And then Scuba Pete wants you to do your very best Cobra Commander.
Yes, Commander.
It's scrap iron. Come on. Either way, it was good. It was good. Gaz asks, have you ever cosplayed Zorana? So no, but that's kind of right.
Mm,
She's one of the dreadnoughts. I know that's kind of what you were talking
she
about.
is. Yeah,
But she's
I
not
think
your
she'd be
favorite
fun.
dreadnought, and we're not going to get into that yet, right?
She's not, surprisingly.
Mm-mm.
I don't, the whole little incestuous thing that got going on kind of like kills it for me a little bit. Too many relations and relations.
Well, yeah, they're just siblings. Apparently, I was the only one that froze.
Uh-oh.
Look, if I froze, it's because other people made me freeze. Just kidding.
Okay.
We've never shared a stream before. Our
Mm-mm.
Comcast internet is dying. Matthew Comstock,
I
late to the
know.
party, but I'm here. Hi, Chad. Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
What's up, dude? Yeah, Skyfall's here. Matthew's here. Thank you very much for being here. You guys are awesome. I'm looking to see if there's more questions for you yet.
It's okay.
Oh, George left. We love you, George.
Bye, George.
Ooh, look, here's a good one. And she's not that obscure, but Patrick says you could pull off Agent Helix. You know, it's funny, Patrick. I actually thought about proposing Agent Helix to the ma'am as one of her cosplays.
I would consider that. That'd be fun.
I mean, she's,
Yeah.
she's hot. You're hot. So there you go. Right? There you go. I saw someone cosplay Pythona once. That's cool.
That'd be kind of different.
Are you getting I think he's talking about the Sig Sauer, the P320. Is that what you're talking about, Captain? The new sidearms? We already have them.
The M17s. Yes, we have
Yeah,
them.
the M17, the 6-hour P320.
I
Yeah.
have them on my property book.
Yep. Fair enough. I'm just looking. I'm trying to not meet. Oh, here's a good question from Phil. Did you like G.I. Joe before you had to put up with my ass?
Yes, I did. Actually, my father introduced them to me because he had them with his father, so my grandfather, who actually served in Vietnam. So, yeah, no, I always knew of it. I always liked it. I always remember like watching the cartoons as a kid when I was younger, along with like Underdog and all the other, like Rocky and Bullwinkle and, shows like that. So I always enjoyed it before. Never, I don't want to say I wasn't super into it, but like any kid, you're super fickle when it comes to stuff. And I was like all about My Little Ponies too. So,
Yep. Yep. And that actually kind of bleeds into the next question I was going to ask you about. What did you collect when you were young? But we're going to get to that in a second. I'm trying to keep up with everybody who's here for
that's okay.
you, really.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
Chris, any pointers for new members of the Finest?
Be open. Just be open to it. Don't get creeped out if people come up to you asking for pictures and stuff like that. I know at first, it always kind of caught me off guard when I would have like grown men that would like go wild, but it was
Sweaty
not.
ass men too.
Yeah,
Sweaty.
yes. And it's not because it was me, it was because what I was dressed as. So I had to learn to like separate the two, like, oh, they don't want the picture with, me, Amanda. They wanted the picture with Baroness or the commander or, whatever it was. So,
Yeah.
and take the time on your costumes too. I see a lot of janky costumes kind of running around. I saw that actually a little bit this past weekend when we were at the last con that we went to yesterday, and yeah, and a little hint for the ladies: not all of you should wear spandex.
Not that we're body shaming, but some
I'm
stuff just
not.
hangs out, right?
Some stuff like,
Yeah.
yeah, like do yourself the favor.
And then Jeff says, "LOL at will." Well, she does outrank Chad, I guess, because they're talking about when I froze, and apparently you didn't freeze, and you were just like staring, waiting to see like where we went.
Yes, but technically, yes, I do outrank him.
Let's get into this. We're gonna get into this bullshit, right? Yes, the ma'am outranks me. She is an officer, right?
Yes.
Per Geneva Convention code on the back of our IDs, she's a different Geneva Convention code than me. That being said, I am senior enough as a non-commissioned officer that unless you're like a lieutenant colonel or my immediate commander, I'm going to tell you to pound sand, and the ma'am knows that. But I would never tell the ma'am to pound sand because We're not in the same company, and
Mm.
I respect her as an officer. So. Oh, and then
Oh,
Captain said he was talking about the SIG XM5, the new rifle the Army bought. Here's the thing about that, right? They always say that, oh yeah, we're getting this new battle rifle or individual weapon type rifle, and they've said that crap like 8 times lately. So anyway,
so we haven't received it yet, though. I've been told probably in the next couple of years, because we're going to be one of the last ones to get it, seeing as we're not active duty. I may or may not actually physically get my hands on it, probably until I deploy again in 3 years. So 2025
my
is when I'm next supposed to
my
go.
my ass is active duty. So here we go. TJC, Chad and Ma'am, have you ever considered cosplaying Ace Hunter and Zara? So the funny thing is, TJC, I actually just reached out to Johnny from Simple Tricks and Nonsense and said,
Yes.
and the Ma'am and I were talking about this yesterday in the car, right? On
Yes,
the way
we
home
were.
from Albuquerque Comic Con. I
We
said,
were.
yeah, so I reached out to Johnny from Simple Tricks and Nonsense and I said, I want to do an Ace Hunter. I want you to help me. And Johnny agreed to help me do an Ace Hunter. So I'm going to start working on an Ace Hunter costume. And then people are going to be like, oh, are you Evil Knievel? What's up, man? Who are you supposed to be? So
Yeah.
that'll suck.
Get out of the way. We want a picture with her. That always is the case.
Yeah. And then, hey, ma'am. So Shauna says, yes, shout out My Little Pony. Yeah,
Yeah, I
very cool.
loved My Little Pony. And not the weird looking ones that they make now for the kids. I'm talking like the 80s where it was like the big chunky ones and their little rumps smelled and stuff.
And then Lawrence says, can someone draw up a My Little Pony dressed as the Baroness Ma'am?
Sure.
Awesome. All right. So I'm trying to catch questions as they come. So we're gonna move on real quick.
Sure.
Oh, James Salzberg's doing family time. I'll watch the replay. Love this short with Sarge. Have a great stream. Yeah, thanks. Really appreciate that.
Bye.
The short that I posted of us. So okay, so we're gonna move on from this. And again, the crazy and Pericles is here. What's up, Pericles? The crazy thing is the people you meet when you
Mhm.
costume. So
George Tsoukalos was
yeah,
epic. He was the best.
so Giorgio Tsoukalos, everyone should know him from Aliens, right? Ancient Aliens. And the Ma'am and I were at El Paso Comic Con last year, right? Last year? Last year. Yeah.
Yes, it was last year.
Last year. Yeah. So we were at El Paso Comic Con last year and Giorgio Tsoukalos was there. We were just walking around and we were walking past him and he actually stopped us. Why don't you carry this? Take this.
This was my first time actually wearing my mostly completed Baroness. I was just
Right.
missing the Cobra logos on the bracers.
Yeah. This
So I
was
don't
the
think they'd
rough
come in
test
yet.
for Joe Fest.
Yes.
Right.
So I wanted to try everything, see how it was and whatnot. And we had started to walk just outside like we usually do, because we had like just gotten in the door. And like he saw us and he was like, yes, yes. He's like, you guys were you're the best that I've seen today. I love G.I. Joe. Like he went nuts. He was
Yeah,
super nice.
he was over the moon excited when he saw GI Joe characters. He loved it. I thought
Hmm.
that was so cool. Lawrence asked, "What rank is the ma'am?" The ma'am is a captain. She is an O3.
Not officially, no.
Yeah,
I am a lieutenant,
uh,
first lieutenant promotable. I haven't
yeah.
picked up my captain yet. Soon, hopefully.
And then Scuba Pete, ancient alien theorists agree your cosplayer great. Yeah, he did. He loved it. He loved it. Loved
Yes.
it.
Oh yeah, he
Cool.
went
Yeah.
crazy.
So that's just again, Christian. So you were asking about like new cosplayers and stuff. Just be prepared that if you're walking around in a badass GI Joe costume, that
Hmm.
GI Joe's been around since the '60s. So
Oh yeah.
especially a real American hero since '82, people are really into that, and you're going to meet a lot of people that you don't know are that gung ho. See what I did there? That gung ho into GI Joe, and they will stop you. So he actually called us over, and I thought that was
Hmm.
pretty rad.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
that's right. Just I don't care who's in line for Giorgio Tsoukalos. He called us over, and we were like, "What's up?"
Oh yeah, he was so sweet.
And Backwoods asked, when are you going to play Destro, Chad? So the Mam and I talked about Destro. The thing with Destro is that the company
He's hard
that
to put
does most
together.
of the helmets and masks and stuff for the finest, it changed hands, and we're actually still waiting on the Mam's Cobra Commander battle helmet for her gender bending Cobra Commander, even though she
Hmm.
has her hood.
Hmm.
But we're actually still waiting on several pieces from them that I paid for like a year and a half ago. So the Destro
Yeah,
mask is going to be on hold for a while. And then
yeah.
Pericles asks, Chad, if Ma'am cosplay as Baroness, why didn't you cosplay as Destro? Well, I just answered that. So
Right.
the funny thing is, though, everyone asking about Destro. So in the weapons company in an infantry battalion, which is the Delta Company, um, our heritage goes back to armor, and so we all use call signs, and our vehicles are named. And in a Delta Company, all your vehicles have D names, and my truck's name is Destro. It always has been. So yeah. So when people call out on the radio, they're calling Destro. Very
Hmm.
cool. And then Shauna is asking you, how heavy is your wig? Why is your wig braided? Let's get into that on top of the
Oh
how
my
heavy is it?
gosh. Okay, so I messed up, and so when I do wear wigs, I usually spend a decent amount of money and try to go for like the real hair, which if anybody ever wears wigs, that those are the most expensive.
Mhm.
But it was sort of, I don't want to say short notice, but I was like, oh, perfect. I want to figure out the length that I want to do first as Baroness with a synthetic before I purchase a real hair.
Mhm.
So, after walking, I think 10 steps with it not braided, it just turned into this rat's nest. So I ended up braiding it. So usually when I wear my synthetic, like I am in this one, I always braid it so it's not as ratty looking, I guess you
It
could
was
say.
it was in the buckles, it was up under your armor,
Everywhere.
it was the static electricity, so it was like sticking to everything, and we were like, man,
It
we got
was just getting bigger and bigger, but
yeah.
typically synthetic is a little heavy because obviously it's really thin plastic, and then just because of the length of that, when it's actually straight, it goes down past my butt. So it can be a little heavy. So that's why if you actually see where that part is, it's actually supposed to be right in the middle. You can see it like shifted to the side.
Yeah, it's a
But
little heavy.
yeah, so but a human hair one, they're actually very light. I do actually have quite a few human hair ones from when I actually had a shaved head. So
From
um,
Ranger School.
yes,
Yeah,
once I get a real hair one, I will actually go through the whole process of gluing it down, so that way you and doing the whole makeup coverage to get it to actually look more realistic. So that way the character will actually be more to life than kind of how it looks right now.
cool. And then Payne's Toy Sample says, "Hello, Commander. Very nice to meet you for more than 5 seconds." which
Yes,
is which is why
hello.
I wanted to have you on. And then Zazel, my good friend, total smartass, says, "Just paint your head silver."
So if I can, Zazel, this is for you. I actually am putting together a gender bending destro, and I already have my silver wig, but I need to find the right face paint because I've test run a few silver face paints, and they were disasters.
Yeah, I think he was talking crap about me being bald.
Oh, and Zazel, I have a question for you. So
Oh
whenever
God,
you're ready,
do it.
Zazel, I know you're in Australia. I really need to know if Koala Man is down there or not. I've been watching a show and he is supposed to be your superhero. I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
questions
So the
and I need
the
answers.
Nerd Flirt says that Australia has a superhero named Koala Man, and we want to know if it's true or not. So.
Yeah.
And then Chris asks, "Is there ever a playset that you told Chad he couldn't buy or add to his collection?" So I'm actually going to pause X on this question, Chris. So your question's up for posterity. We're going to get back to that, but we have like a flow. So
We do.
yeah, we're going to get to that. And then we talked about how you collected My Little Ponies and your dad introduced you to
Mm-hmm.
Joe Fest. Right. Since we're talking
Whew.
costuming and this, that, and the other thing, let's talk Joe Fest. So
Joe
at
Fest.
Joe Fest, we we were there for the entire weekend, and on
Mm,
Friday we went in our civvies, right, in our normie clothes.
yes,
And then on Saturday we showed up in our costumes and then changed out later. But
correct.
while we were all there with the members of the finest, Arthur Burkhart, the voice actor of Destro from the GI Joe Real American Hero
Yes.
cartoon, what did you do with him? What did he ask you to do?
So he's a very sweet man. He is obviously a little older now, but he it's always funny when you meet people that voice characters because you always seem to have like an image in your head of kind of who they are, what they should look like. So seeing him and hearing him talk as Destra, it was pretty amazing, pretty neat actually. But he saw me, and I was actually the only one out of the whole group for the finest that was dressed as Baroness. So I actually got the honor of walking him into his booth for him to be able to start signing autographs and giving out different paraphernalia and whatnot. So it was actually really neat. He was super sweet.
Yeah. So when the finest, when we all escorted him in, he made sure that he was on the Baroness's arm, which I thought was really awesome. And me
You
in the
felt
back
like
of my
I
mind, I'm
was
like,
on
get off
his.
my wife. Yeah, well, either or, right? Whichever way you want to look at it. If you walked him in, he's on your, I don't know, whatever. Who cares? And then Backwoods is asking a question that I've asked you previously. Can you condition a synthetic wig?
So, yes and no. You have to really be careful with how you treat your synthetics compared to your real hair. So like my real hair ones that I have, like I can wash, I can style, I can blow dry, I can, use a regular like curling iron as needed, but synthetics, because it is plastic, I can't do any of that for half face.
Yeah.
Koala Man is awesome. Um, but with synthetics, you have to be really careful because you can kind of wash them, but it's more like what I do just to be careful is, I'll spray them with water and then I'll brush it and then I'll spray with an oil and then I'll brush the oil through to kind of keep that sheen that they have. But you can't really style them just because it will melt the plastic, which is
Yeah.
essentially the hair. So then you just end up trashing. Is it recent?
He hasn't encountered him yet. So there you go. There's your answer.
I just want to know if he lives there or not, because then I'm coming to visit just for that.
And then Pericles says, if I ever met Arthur Burkhart, two things I want him to say is ion correlator and use psychotic sibilant serpent of adult. Yeah.
Oh yes, yes, he was
I
so
didn't
sweet.
hear
He
him
was
do the
so kind.
voice. Did you hear him do the voice?
He did. He did to me a few times when he would talk to me once in a while, and then he made a joke, and then I had responded with him, "You can't talk to me like that. We're in a
We're in a
relationship."
relationship.
And
I love
he
it.
laughed. He thought it was the funniest thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was real cool. And Ron Rudat. We got to hang out with Ron Rudat for a little bit.
I did. That was actually really neat to be able to meet him with all the things that he's designed and created for the GI Joe line. So he was definitely I don't want to say the opposite, but he was very kind of unassuming, whereas
Mhm.
Arthur was more like loud, more boisterous, and things like that.
Yeah. He was laughing very
So
loudly. Yeah.
yes, he's very loud. But no, like Ron Rudat was very quiet, very unassuming, just real even keel. Like like he just seemed like generally happy to be there. Um, and he was more of like he wanted to chat with you more. That one on one was kind of more his thing, which I really respected. And it was really nice to be able to talk to him and just ask him, like kind of what inspired him and if he, how much did he enjoy drawing this? Did he ever think that this line would take off as it has and things like that? And it was just really neat to kind of like have that little intimate moment, so to speak, with him.
And then I told him, hang on one second, because look who's here, babe.
Hi, Jay.
What's up, my brother? I'm glad you're here, man. Thanks for being here.
Yes,
Um,
hello.
I had told him, just like I've told others, and the discussion I had with Sergeant Slaughter, and we'll kind of get into
Hmm.
that. But I had told Ron Rudat that it was people like him and Kirk Bazigian, and I said the same thing to Kirk Bazigian,
Hmm.
how they not only molded my childhood, but also GI Joe is completely responsible for my career choice. And now
Yeah.
that I'm almost 50 years old, and then we started talking about being in the Army, and then he found out that you were what, and what was his reaction?
He was kind of shocked, like most people are. They usually think I'm like lying about what I do as, for my job, and that's okay. I'm actually kind of used to that, so it's usually kind of funny. But once I got to talking with him, I think he kind of believed me in a way because it is so far and few between that you tend to meet that. So what's up,
Yeah.
Jay?
Yeah, when he found out you were infantry, a female
Hmm.
in the infantry, he was like you could see him trying to grasp it, and at
Yes,
the same time, like, he was really, like, happy to hear that, which I
he
thought was
was.
really cool. Yeah.
Because that was the
Eh
thing, like, a lot of those, the people that I guess you could say, like, created that whole line, they shaped a lot of,
yeah.
those, I don't wanna say the young minds, but a lot of us other service members that kinda grew up with that and showing, like, it was cool and okay to serve and, like, it was an honorable thing to be able to do that and whatnot, and, you know, even when the gentleman from the newspaper, kinda overheard us and
Oh, yeah,
snagged
yeah,
us
yeah.
and chatted with us, like, he almost didn't believe it either just because, like, it's just something so new.
Yeah.
So,
But the cool thing is,
that's
like,
okay.
guys like Ron Rudat, they were being progressive before being progressive was a thing, and it was like a
Right.
thing that you had to do to be cool. Like, they never had a problem with the whole females in combat and combat arms roles, and
Mm-mm.
then to actually meet a female infantryman officer, like,
Yeah.
you could see he was like, "Wow, that's great." So
Yeah.
it was actually really cool. And then we got to hang out with, Keone Young, the voice actor for Storm Shadow too.
Yes, and that was a trip too, 'cause, seeing like I said, like, seeing somebody yeah, G.I. Joe is why I finally pulled the trigger and decided to jump into that.
And then you
Um,
met me. Oh.
and then I met you. Yes, I did
Anyway,
meet you.
what were you saying? Storm Shadow?
Oh, oh no, with Storm Shadow, like you always kind of have like this image painted in your head because your mind tends to fill in those gaps with when you can't physically see something, and you can only hear something.
Mhm.
So it was kind of funny, hearing the voice actors and then seeing them in person. And you can almost see like some of the same facial markers in them as a person as you do as their characters. It's actually kind of funny and kind of neat.
Yeah. Hey, Matthew, that's real cool that you just booked your room. I saw that, Ed actually just put that up, and, I'm working on getting rooms for me and Zazel, so working on that. And then,
Mhm.
Jeffrey said, "So many female GI Joe characters are badasses." Yup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
My wife's a badass. She's a combat veteran.
Yeah.
And then, so here's some pictures of the finest. So
Oh, yes.
there's you, me, and Ed Schumacher, who is the brains behind Joe Fest, and there's Ron Rudat
Yes.
with a couple of our other members, and then,
Hmm.
there's you again because I have this thing for symmetry, and I kinda needed it, so there you go.
Well, and in that one, actually, in these two that you showed, I actually do have the wig straight down for those of you that are wondering actually how long that synthetic wig is that I wear, that I'm
Yeah.
trying to find the right size or length for hair. You can see it's very long and it's very tangly.
Mhm. Who's the big spoon out of you and me?
Him.
I mean, dude, we're there 3 nights, dude. I don't know, we can just change it up. Whatever. I'm in the infantry, don't play that with me. It'll get weird quick. It'll get
Hmm.
weird real quick. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool. And then moving on, so yesterday, we did this thing.
we did.
I love how the
We
white
did.
screen, like, blows my image out. So we
Yeah,
did
that's
this
okay.
yesterday,
We did.
and then Wilhelm says, "Hell yeah, awesome pictures, thank you."
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, Albuquerque Comic Con, still having some mixed feelings, some mixed reviews about it.
but let's touch on that in a second. The only reason, I mean, let's be honest. We only went to Albuquerque Comic Con for I'm going to say three reasons. One,
Yes.
Sergeant Slaughter.
Yes.
Two,
Hmm.
always a good excuse for us to wear our costumes.
Yes.
Three, the comics and collectible shop that sponsors this channel was there.
Yes.
Um, why don't you talk to us about meeting the man?
He was so I remember like before it was WWE and all that when it was WWF, and I always remembered him, and it was epic to actually meet him in person. It's almost like meeting a celebrity, as corny as that sounds, because like in a way he is.
He
And
is a
like just
celebrity. Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, and like seeing him like as he is, and like his voice is exactly like how you expect. Yeah, Sarge. And he has his belts and just his whole character. But that aside, like when we just got to talk to him one on one, he was very kind, very sweet, very welcoming. And he actually was expecting us, which was surprising.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
So the for anybody who cares, if you guys want to hear the story, the ma'am and I are walking around Albuquerque Comic Con, and we're looking at stuff to buy, maybe buy targets of opportunity, those little diamond in the rough things. I was kind of looking for lunch boxes,
Hmm.
and we didn't really see anything. And then it was like, well, I mean, we were going to go find Sarge anyway, so let's just go find Sarge. And originally, Zazel, this is for you, my friend, we weren't going to go see Sarge until we changed out into our street clothes, and I was going to wear my Slaughterhouse T-shirt
Hmm.
um, for Zazel to get a picture with Sarge in Zazel's shirt. And the place was just it was just lame. They didn't really have anything. Grayskull Toys and Collectibles. I mean, they have their usual Grayskull stuff, but we shop at Grayskull all the time. I mean, we're always in there.
I think they had one of the largest booths,
Mhm.
actually.
But everybody else just had, like, kinda caca, it was, a lot of Funko Pops and a lot of, like,
Hey, I
what,
just pulled
prints?
this out of my garage, and do you want
Yeah,
to buy it when I could probably just sell it at the flea market? There was
yeah.
a lot of that, and that was slightly disappointing that I guess the people that run it didn't really pay much attention to what people were trying to sell. And there was a lot of random vendors that I didn't expect, like the people selling their weird at-home candy, wink, wink.
Yeah, there was a lot of that, yeah. But anyway, so, he did not talk to us about his Diddy bag.
No, he did
So,
not.
we decided that we weren't gonna change out into our street clothes, we were just gonna go straight and see Sarge and just
Yes.
kinda, see if the hijinks ensued because we're both dressed up like Cobra, and,
Mhm.
we started walking up, and he had just signed something for somebody, and the I felt kind of bad because that person's talking to him like right here, like gushing all over Sarge, and he just goes Cobra, and then he completely ignored that dude and started talking to us, and then we kind of backed off and waited our turn, but uh, like you just said, ma'am, so we started talking to him, and he was like, oh. I was waiting for you guys to come here. Kelly told me you were coming, which, Kelly slaughtered his daughter. And so apparently well, when we walked up, I said, so your daughter says hi. And he was like, oh, yeah, I was waiting for you. She said you were coming. And I was like, I don't know why your daughter told us to tell you hi, but Zazel sends his love. And we did tell him that.
We
And
did.
Zazel, just for you. So Sarge spent a good few minutes telling us how you were coming to Joe Fest and you were this and you were that. And I was like, yeah, I know, I get it. And he was really excited that you're going to be at Joe Fest, so he can hang out with you.
Yes.
And then we talked about breakfast with Sarge and things like that. But
Mhm.
what other takeaways do you have from Sergeant Slaughter, ma'am?
Oh gosh. Just the amount of people that actually recognized them, because they had more this year for I guess what do you want to call them, like guests or
Yeah,
whatever they want to call them. Yeah, I guess
yeah,
because when we had gone in years past, there was only like just a handful, not that many, but this year they actually had that. They had the whole top floor of
Yeah.
just different people, and like some were animators, some were actors, some were voice characters, some were wrestlers, some were fighters. Like they had a little of everything. So it was very mixed bag. So it was actually really neat to be able to see them bringing out more than just your, I guess, nerds like you and I that would traditionally come out to a con.
All these dum dums are in the chat talking about beards and beard shaming, and I don't have a beard, and I got 2 day growth, and all this caca. These guys, you get them all together, and they just start running off at the mouth. But
Hey, that's
yes,
okay. I bet I can grow a better beard than all you guys here pretty
no,
soon.
you
So
cannot get out of here with that. I mean, you are infantry, so maybe you can. So yeah, but yeah, hanging out with Sarge was cool. It was really awesome. And I did. Well, obviously, man, but I told him that every GI Joe fan and Hasbro should be glad that he was the best brand ambassador that they could ever hope to have.
oh
And
yeah.
I thanked him for, a lifetime of memories, and it was just really rad. So, yeah,
Yeah, because
that's
I'm sure he's older and slowing down and stuff, but he's still out there, traveling and doing it and still promoting, the whole brand and the whole line. I mean, better than actual Hasbro is. So,
yeah.
yes,
Um,
my goal is to come. We'll see.
yeah, we're working on some hurdles on that, but yeah. So, I mean that yeah, the Mam and I are like Batman and Robin, so obviously you'd be Carrie Kelly's Robin, right? You wouldn't be Dick Grayson, you'd be Carrie Kelly, but yeah.
Yes,
So yeah, anyway, cool. We got to hang out with Sarge. That was awesome. That was definitely the highlight of recent times. So
it was.
very cool. And then just because I hope Jay is still here, because Jay didn't want to give Predator a perfect score when we were ranking 80s action movies. So the Mam and I, aka the Baroness and this generic Cobra officer, we went and bum rushed this Predator, and we kicked that dude's ass. Look, she was gonna shoot him right in the chin. So this was fun because this guy, you can see the Adam West Batman suit behind
Mm-hmm.
you, and you can see the Mr. T behind me.
Yes.
So he had like the Cylon Raider and all this cool stuff. And again, just like with Giorgio Tsoukalos, we happened to be walking by him, and he was like, "Hey, will you guys come over here so I could get a picture with the Predator?" And I was like, "We were gonna do that anyway, but yeah, cool." Because he just had to have a picture of us with his costumes, and yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, he hand designs all those. Same thing with the Scooby Doo, the Mystery Machine, and then he does the A
Yeah,
Team as well. So,
yeah, he had the A-Team van, the Mystery Machine, and last year he had the Ecto-1 from Ghostbusters. And then Lauren
yeah,
says Jay hates predators and vipers, but no, he doesn't.
it's okay.
He does not. And then Zazel is asking you, oh, TJC is gonna go, and great to see you on the stream, ma'am. Catch the replay tonight. Cool, thank you. And ma'am, when dressed as Baroness, do you get over wearing shades all the time?
Yes, I do. Just there are moments that I have to take them off because like they just hurt the bridge of my nose because they're not like my regular day to day glasses that like I will wear when I'm at work. So I'm like, gotta take them off for a few minutes.
No, Jeff, there was no RoboCop there for me to take pictures with because RoboCop is a
No,
freaking brilliant movie. I wish there was because I'd have rubbed that in people's faces too.
no, they did
So
not have RoboCop.
anyway, I hope Jay's still around somewhere because I put this Predator picture in just for Jay. Remember when we took it? I was like, I'm gonna show this to Jay.
Yes,
So
yes,
anyway,
I do.
there it is, which is cool. And yeah, cool. So that's Albuquerque Comic Con. And
Hmm.
so Christian asked this question, and I started. And then this is kind of a segue into this sucker. So, ma'am, is there
Hmm.
ever a playset that you told me I couldn't buy? And see, I just appreciate the fact that he thinks I buy all this stuff, right?
Yes.
That I couldn't buy to add to the collection. Just wondering. So, why don't you educate a couple people on some of the grail items in my collection. So
So
what's the story behind this sucker?
I guess to more answer your question, Chris, usually if I tell him no, he can't buy something, it's because I've probably already purchased it for him without him knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is usually obviously he knows at that point when I've told him no, not to buy it. But with his flag, so I actually purchased the flag for him.
Yeah, yeah, which I
So
talked about at length with Scuba Pete. But yeah,
yes. So the funny thing with actually the flag was we were still like brand new, getting to kind of know each other, that whole ooh la la, new fresh couple, whatever.
yeah, what's up?
Yes, what's up?
What's going on?
And he kept talking about and telling me about, oh, I gotta have this flag, this flag, this flag. And I was like, and I could not remember it from the show or anything else, but it had been years since I'd seen it. And I was like, what the heck is this flag thing? So I actually, one night, I was Googling it and I was like, oh, I remember now. So, and he kept talking about, well, I want to buy a flag and I want to do this and I want to do that. So I got on eBay, good old eBay, and I started searching for flags that were like 90% or higher complete. And it was almost Father's Day. And that was going to be my gift to him for our first Father's Day together, was purchasing him a flag because he always talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
So it took me a while because the majority that I actually found were pickup only. And I'm like, well, I can't go pick it up. I'm in East Africa right now. Like, I can't just get in my car and just drive across country to
Yeah,
go pick this
just
up.
spreading freedom.
So I had found a few different ones that actually where they were shipping. So I bid on those. First one I lost, second one I lost, the third one I lost at like the last few seconds. So I found this one that I actually purchased for him, which was my fourth attempt at trying to get him a flag in time for Father's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I bid on it and like I don't remember how I found it. It was like after like a 2-hour obscure search on eBay and I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." Like I bid on it and then I went to work and where I was there was no internet or any of that and I just happened to catch some Wi-Fi signal one day while I was working my shift and I got an alert that I had won something on eBay, and I was like,
Something
"What
you
did I?"
forgot that you had bid on. Yeah,
Yeah, and I was like, "What did I bid on?" Because mind you, it's like 3 in the morning when I got this alert because
yeah.
it was we're hours ahead over there, and I was like, "What did I bid on?" I don't remember buying anything on eBay. So I get on my phone and I'm looking and I'm trying to keep like still because I know if I move like even an inch, I'm going to lose this internet signal, right? Probably China trying to hack my phone at the
Crappy African, Chinese, Wi-Fi, piggyback,
time.
whatever you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I realized and I was like, oh my God, I got it. And I won this flag for like, I won't even tell you guys how much I actually won it for because it's probably going to like hurt a lot of people's feelings. So
Yeah, don't. Yeah.
I won it, I paid for it, and then I barely leaned like one direction and I lost it. And I was like, well, okay, whatever, the thing's paid for.
Yeah.
So I finished working and like 5 or 6 days later, no, it might have been longer than that. I finally get back to the main base where he's at, and it's Father's Day conveniently. So, and I was like, I'm terrible at keeping secrets and surprises. So the
Yeah.
first thing I
Hey, you
did
want to know what I got you?
yeah,
Yeah.
that was exactly what it was. And I come running up and I'm like, Happy Father's Day. And I show him, and like, yeah, the look on his face, he was like, No. Like, he thought I was lying. He didn't actually think at first I bought this
Yeah, I
flag
was
for
floored.
him. Yeah.
Sure.
So, and then I had to deal with the shipping fiasco of getting 6 large boxes sent to California to my mother and then trying to get them back from my mother.
Hey, is your mom gonna ship that flag? How many times did I ask you that?
He asked me for months.
Oh God. Yep.
And then she finally shipped them. And then she didn't ship them all at once
Yeah.
either. mind you. So it would be like randomly there'd be a box or then like two boxes. Yeah, it was, oh my gosh, it was such a headache and a nightmare trying to ship it back from California to where we are in New Mexico.
But there it is.
There it
It's
is.
good to go now.
Hmm.
And then Zazel wants to know where's the My Little Pony room?
So all My Little Ponies are actually in California, along with my Polly Pockets and My Little Pet Shops, because those were the other two things that I collected. And I'm not talking about the weird, big-eyed uh, My Little Pet Shops and the big, extra large Polly Pockets. I'm talking like the little tiny ones that if you step on them, you're like, oh.
It's like a Lego.
Yeah, it's like a
Lawrence,
Lego.
no. Lawrence, no. We're not going to tell you.
I
But
get
it was
it.
shipped. It was shipped. So
It
the
was,
price included
which,
shipping, which was
yes.
amazing.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's all we're going to
Yeah,
tell you. It was less than
it
a
was
grand.
great. It was.
Yeah, that's it. No, the ma'am doesn't have any sisters. She has a younger brother.
I do. My brother
Well,
has a girlfriend. Sorry.
sorry, Patrick.
Yeah, unless you're
You,
like a little 5 foot blonde ballerina, then I mean, yeah, that's not happening
yeah,
because
no.
that's what
And
she looks like.
then Will says that's how you know she's the one by buying or encouraging the purchase of an epic grail. Well,
Well, that
yeah.
was
I
actually
mean,
one of the things I was looking for at Albuquerque Comic Con this weekend was your
general
a general or a defiant. No, not the defiant.
defiant.
Yeah, the defiant. Those were the two
Yeah.
pieces that I was just looking for, just to see like if they even had.
You're
Oh,
smoking crack if you think you're going to find one of those in Albuquerque. But I
I
love the
just
enthusiasm. I do.
thought that, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot. Instead, I found a lot of weird anime drawings, some weird softcore anime
People's
manga.
yeah, right. And then there was the sketchy homemade candies, so whatever. But,
Yeah, and the sketchy candy and Funko Pops.
so what? So you bought the flag. Obviously, we answered Chris's question, and this isn't
I
just to
did.
talk about like buying toys and stuff. But what what do you have to share about this awesome nightmare? As Jay would say, this amazing hell ride in our house. What
Um,
else you got?
it
You got any
it's
insight?
terrible to move.
Yeah, so bad.
I think it's a very unique dynamic that we have with uh yeah, they are basically anime nowadays. They're freaking
And Funko Pops. Funko Pops is like it's like the
yes.
syphilis of collecting, but I
Well,
know
and
it's like a gateway collecting thing, but
I'm all for good anime, like, like the Chainsaw Man, like I like old school Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, like all that stuff, like don't get me wrong, I like
Vampire Hunter
Cyberpunk
D.
when they brought out Cyberpunk. Like I actually enjoyed that. People think I'm weird, you know, but no, I think we have a very unique dynamic when it comes to your room because I'm smaller, so to speak. So I can usually get into the little crevices to like put the lighting or like your deck pins in or moving different things that you need moved.
Mhm.
So whereas like you can do more of that heavy lifting, so to speak, or like the big setup, and then I can come and do like the little fine pieces with it. So, and I tend to be a little bit more patient sometimes with your toys.
So I was just gonna say, um, remember that day when you came home and I was finally tearing down this like island of boxes in the middle of this room and I was trying to
I
set up the
do.
shelves and just how badly I was losing my mind?
Hmm.
Yeah.
I do.
Good times. Yeah. We got there though.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like the room. It's actually fun. It's a really neat talking piece and being able to show it to people, I know that's really what you're known for and expanding your collection because like when I first met you, most of your stuff was just in boxes and in storage. And that was one of the things, I told you was, I always wanted you to have the ability. Yeah, I hate Funko Pops too. Bacon. They're freaking terrible.
Yeah, the funny thing is there's like one behind you, but it's Baroness, so it's okay. But yeah.
Certain ones, yeah. But
Yeah, some are cool. Somebody found me a Battle Android Trooper one.
that is. That's right.
Anyway, sorry, my stuff was in boxes. You were saying.
Yeah, most of your stuff was in boxes and whatnot. And, I always wanted to, encourage and support you to be able to kind of express and explore within reason your hobby, and then be able to participate in it with you. I always thought that that would be something neat because, like, I always remember when I wanted to go and do cons when before you and I met, I could never really get anybody to go with me, and they're always like, "You're weird. You want to dress up? Like, who does that?" So,
They're dumb. Shut up.
yeah, and even like my collecting and stuff, I've always kind of like secretly collected.
Mhm.
And I've never displayed. I probably should display my stuff that I've collected over the years, but I just, you know, never did. So that's why
Well,
I've always had like a good loving relationship like with that room because in a way it's allowing, you to express yourself and me to support that expression.
yeah, and you have a hand in all of this. So,
Hmm.
like you help, you enjoy it, and you foster it and love it as well. So very cool.
Of course.
And yeah, so that was my next question. I actually put in the notes, how is it being married to and a part of all this? So I guess we already talked about that. So
Fun. I love it.
yeah. All right. So this crap. We're gonna talk about this crap for a second. So um being and it's a perfect segue because being that you always support my passion, my collecting, my hobby, you support me. What brings
Hmm.
me joy brings you joy. We happened to be in a comic collectible shop and we walked by these and I just kept walking, right? Because I knew what they were. I knew they were 6-inch Joes and I was just like, bleh.
Yeah.
And so I kept walking and you, right, being that loving, supportive partner in crime,
Hmm.
you saw a whole row of boxes that just said GI Joe on them and you were like, "Oh, he needs all of these." And you bought every single classified figure that store had. And
I
then I
did.
remember looking at them and I didn't want to say like, "Babe, those are trash. I don't want those." Right? And I was like, the gesture was really sweet. And I was like, "Oh, thanks. That was really awesome that you thought enough just to see GI Joe on the spine of a box and
Well, that
bought
was
them all
like
for me."
for the better part of a year. Every time I would go into any store, I would look for all strikers and his tanks.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, when the retro line came out. Real
Yeah.
quick, babe, look who's here. Hans
Hi,
Schaus.
Hans.
Y'all talking toys in here? Yeah, and actually,
Yeah.
Hans, you know what? Check this out. I gotta back this up. I gotta show this. Hans, I don't know if Jay is still here or not. I hope he is because I love Jay to death, and I
Yes.
need his moral support. But remember when we were talking about this movie, Hans? And we were talking about Predator,
Mhm.
right? Somebody didn't want to give Predator an S. So the
Mhm.
ma'am and I made it a point yesterday at Albuquerque Comic Con to get a picture of us smoking this Predator. Anyway,
Yep.
so there it is. Okay, so we're talking about classified. So you lovingly roped me into trying to collect classified.
I did. I
How?
just I wanted you to love this line because I always see, and yes, I watch the terrible videos from the freaking stupid blonde chick when they do the announcements and whatnot. Can't ever remember her name. Emily?
Emily. Yeah.
There you go, Emily.
Yeah. Anyway, so you always what?
I'm sorry if there's Emily's in the chat. I apologize. It's just something about her.
It's all good.
Like I I guess like I knew there was all the old toys, like old everything from the 80s and the 90s, and I was like really excited to see like I don't want to say a revamp, but almost like a revamp of like these old toys and these old figures, that
Yeah.
we grew up loving and being like, oh, this would be wonderful to like share with people, share with this younger generation and like pass on that knowledge because, that's like what we do, is, we share generation to generation. Like it's gone on for thousands of years. So I really wanted you to like love this line like I was hoping HasLabs and Hasbro would do. But like the more I see like figures coming out and like the prices on the figures and just like everything that I always hear you and like Jay and, just Zazel and all those guys, it's just constantly beating up like price points too high. There's not enough supply for demand. And and like you've said, and many others have said, they look terrible. Give it to the dark side of classified. Just some of them just don't look as, I don't want to say as good, but as well thought out, as well planned as you know, like your Crocmaster that you have. I think he looks better than the new Crocmaster kind of thing, and I guess with that evolution of technology, we can make better toys and you can add more details, but I feel like they kind of dropped the ball on it. And that's a little disappointing.
Yeah. Speaking of Crocmaster, if you remember, I got
Hmm.
that 4-inch Crocmaster, and you remember I really didn't care for him, and I was kind of like, why am I buying this figure? I hate this character. And that
Hmm.
was the first one of my action figures that you ever posed for me.
Hmm.
And once you
Yep.
posed him, I was like, you know what? He looks rad.
Yeah.
And now every time I see that Crocmaster, not only do I appreciate him because he's in that dynamic pose, but I appreciate the fact that you did that. And it was the first figure of mine that you actually like put your hands on. So yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I
We'll
have
see
never
what
reposed him.
That's okay. We'll see what they have to come out with for 2023. They made their announcements, I think maybe a week ago. I don't remember how long ago the post was, but yeah.
See, right there. If I got to pay scalper
Yeah.
prices now, I'm gonna stick with the 3 3/4. If
Yeah.
I can find a vehicle, a playset, a figure, anything from 1985, 6, 92, easier than I can find something that is currently being molded, packaged, and quote unquote supposedly distributed, you got problems. You
Yeah.
got problems. And ain't nobody got time for that. And Jeff says OG line will always be the best, but I do like some. Hey, you know what? If you like it, that's cool. But I always it's part of my shtick on articulated chat is talking classified. So
Yeah,
gonna
I
do
mean
it.
some of them aren't terrible, some are decent, or at least the sketches that they do of them, but there are some I'm like, that's the best you could do.
I'm not saying some of the figures aren't gorgeous. That Lady J looks like freaking Justin Bieber, though. That thing needs to be killed with fire. Some of them look great. I just, you know, just
Yeah, no, I
I just
agree, Hans.
appreciate the
The
fact that
wave one.
you, yeah, I just appreciate the fact that you bought me all of Wave One and Wave Two just to be sweet, and then you kind of like inadvertently roped me into trying to collect them, and I was like, no, ma'am, I shan't do it. So, but
They tried.
I have been giving them away to people. So.
That's okay.
Mhm. Um. Oh yeah. See, Hans and I are 100% in agreement that the 4-inch modern line is the shit. I love it. And like you're in this whole thing with me. Like you got skin in this game. You hunt for toys for me. You help me with this room. You're into the costuming with me. The whole 9 yards, right? You're 100%
Right.
invested in this.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts about crowdfunding toys? Do you think these toys could have been on shelves? Do you think it's a racket? Like, what's your thoughts on this? On an $11 billion, I'm not trying to like bait you, but what's your thoughts on $11 billion company crowdfunding shit?
I mean, I think it's a Ponzi scheme. I think they're trying to fund some other toy line, honestly, because if I just
Starting
from like
lineup. Who the frick wants starting lineup at 6-inch scale? Especially when they're trying to sell them to other countries. Like, do you think somebody in like Papua New Guinea cares about a freaking American basketball player action figure? No. This is the loss leader for fucking starting lineup right here. HasLab. Not just Joe, but HasLab. I'm convinced it's the loss leader. Anyway, go ahead.
no, I don't know. I do have mixed feelings about it. I think it's smart to try and pull in people to get their buy-in, but I think they might have taken it just a little too far and turned it into a bit of a Ponzi scheme. I feel like, someone's got to be the Madoff in this game when it comes to all of it because we keep pouring money in, but you're not getting anything in return. And at some point, like you have to give a return to people. Like where is it? And then when you do get it, there's not enough, or you see it and it's way overpriced, like, or my favorite now is the eco-friendly packaging. Like,
Oh yeah,
I
the
want to
plastic free.
see I want to see my toys. I want to see what it looks like, because that's how I'm going to make the decision to buy it. I don't want to see the art. I mean, yes, the art's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but that's what the back's for, because that back, from what I grew up with, that's where you read about your toy and its history, and how they're going to be doing all that. Oh
So
yeah,
that
Star Wars was a hit.
so yeah, most Hasbro and Target bit the big one when they tried a 6-inch scale Star Wars vehicle line. Yeah, but again, to me, Patrick, my friend, this reinforces the argument that 6-inch and world building scales don't jive. Right.
No.
But whatever, that's just me. Because you're never going to get anything other than that. I'm not trying to convince people, whatever. You guys all know my argument, whatever. Shut up. And then Scuba Pete says, preach it, man. Preach it.
I just want to know who the Madoff is in this scheme so I can get some of that money. You know what I'm saying?
I want to know who over at Hasbro is in charge of like their people call it small joes. The next one of you that calls a normal sized GI Joe a small Joe, I'm I'm gonna bite your cheek. I'm gonna bite your face, right? 6-inch Joes aren't normal Joes, and then 118 scale small Joes. It's new Joes versus tried and true Joes. Anyway, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know who's in charge of the 118 scale, because I know that Lenny and Emily are in charge of classified.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
I know I always get like a wild hair, like some days where I'm like, I'm gonna go work for freaking Hasbro because I'm gonna go fix the GI Joe line, and I tell myself that, and then I'm like,
Yeah,
I kind of like my real job, maybe not.
I'm gonna go start some shit. Matthew says I need to wear a blood pressure monitor when I do car rants. Yeah.
Yes.
Mike Tyson's here. Is Mike
Oh,
Tyson here? I don't know who's Mike Tyson. I don't know. Whatever. Normal Joes or 12-inch Joes. I'll back that too. Whatever.
yeah,
Go all the way back to Adventure Team and further.
yeah,
So, you want to have a little fun?
sure.
So, I'm removing this from my screen because it's killing me.
Okay.
A movie came out a little
Uh,
over a year ago, and
uh-huh.
where the hell were you? I think you were up here and I was down south. We
Yes.
we were apart, army
Yeah.
reasons, and
Yep.
you and I, almost at the same time, without having discussed it, we both experienced a movie, and we've never watched it together, but
No.
individually, collectively, we watched it. And I know you saw it, so I'm not going to ask you
I
if you saw it. Would
I
you? Would you
did.
think? Would you? You know, you're just going to shake your head. Is that it?
Nope.
What?
Nope.
No.
Terrible.
Hey,
No.
is Gaz still
No.
here? I need to know if Gaz is still here. Go ahead, ma'am.
That's okay. No,
What are you gonna say?
I had such high hopes for this movie because, like, I remember I always liked silly. I don't want to say silly, but I always liked origin stories, and that was like the thing. So I was super hopeful that we're getting like a new, or so to speak, uh, GI Joe movie, because I remember, the other two with Channing Tatum, which actually, and The Rock, and I actually like those movies. I know some people kind of have like a weird love hate, but I
Yeah,
always
but
enjoyed them.
those movies made money. So
They did.
anyway, yeah.
I just They had the potential for a great story. They kind of got a little derailed with him not wearing his mask, and I don't know what was going on with the Baroness. They
The
kind of lost it.
Kareness.
Yeah, like, they have these great characters, and they could have. really gone like a really great route with it, just because the whole story of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow and like that whole evolution, like, everybody knows it, whether it's the old, comics, or you played with the toys, or you watch the cartoons, like there are so many ways they could have taken it. And I don't know what they were thinking. That they lost it. They lost me, that's for sure. I was
The
disappointed.
the funny thing is, whenever I've asked other people, so in the first two episodes of this little fun show that I do,
Hmm.
I showed these exact screens. And if you remember when you and I first saw this movie poster, right? He's supposed to
Hmm.
be holding that helmet. Remember, I
Right.
looked at you and I said they're going to make it a freaking motorcycle helmet.
You did. Yeah, we saw, we were going to see something else. I don't remember what movie we went to go see, but we went to the actual theater and we walked by like the big, like eight
Yeah, the
foot
post. Yeah,
poster, and I
standy.
was
Yeah,
like, yeah, I was like, what the hell? I don't know. I was I at first I didn't want to think it was going to be a motorcycle helmet. I thought, okay, well maybe it's going to be like a true origin story where it's going to show like his evolution to becoming
get
Snake
his
Eyes,
face
and
all
that,
assed up.
yeah, and that's why they're showing him as they are, to sort of prepare you, or for those people that aren't familiar with the whole GI Joe world, to kind of like get them drawn in with like a known face or a known name, to then tell them that story. But yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, they lost it. They could have gone a very different direction, but
Well, plus they made him
mm,
like the bad guy, and Storm Shadow was the good guy, and like you just felt bad for Storm Shadow the whole movie, and like, yeah, it's
yeah,
weird.
just the whole duality between the two of them. I'm not, I don't know if they didn't research it or they just wanted to do their own take on it. Yeah,
Hence my
I'm
car
not
rant.
sure.
Like the guy who wrote this knows nothing about GI Joe.
Yeah.
So we talked about uh Snake Eyes origins, a GI Joe story, maybe possibly.
Hmm.
Um, you also brought up Rise of Cobra and Retaliation.
Hmm.
Now we're gonna just kind of touch on, because you know my love affair with this, and hopefully Gaz and a few others know where I'm going with this. Why, dear ma'am guest,
Hmm.
is this the best GI Joe movie ever made? Talk to me about Megaforce, because I introduced you to Megaforce, and you
I
know
watched it.
about my passion for this movie.
I watched this movie with you once, and then you swore up and down I purposely hid your DVD from you, to the fact that I had to buy you a new DVD for Christmas this year.
All right, everybody in the chat, check this out, right? So we moved, we PCS'd, we packed everything up and moved. Guess what's the one thing that could not be found? Not any of this. The one thing that I could not find after we moved was my god dang Megaforce DVD. And I kept asking you and the kiddo,
Hmm.
you guys take my Megaforce DVD?
No, we did not. We had nothing to do with you losing your movie.
So, Megaforce. What do you think about
Yes.
Megaforce?
I did enjoy Megaforce. It is a good movie. It's well written. It's fun. It's your typical, I see you guys, your typical like 80s action, like, the characters they develop well. They're very silly. Yes, he lost his Megaforce DVD. Bring Hans. All of you. I didn't take his DVD, but I did
It's
buy
all right. I
him a
got a
new one for
replacement
Christmas.
anyway, so we're good.
No, I mean, I think it's a great movie. I see a lot of character similarities when it comes to Megaforce and GI Joe, which I do respect and I do like. They probably at the time couldn't just call it like GI Joe, hence why it's probably Megaforce. But
Look at
no, I
this.
mean, I like it.
This is a funny comment, because as soon as
You
I
do
set up the TV and the Xbox in here, what was the first thing I put on?
Megaforce.
Megaforce.
Mhm. Yes,
In
and he
fact,
listens to it in the car too.
I do. Yeah, I listen to the 707 soundtrack, but I actually waited to set up this TV and Xbox and all that stuff until I got my replacement DVD from
Megaforce.
the one that grew legs and walked off. Right.
Yeah, just like you
Uh,
listen to the 8-bit uh soundtracks and stuff too.
I do listen to 8-bit soundtracks. See, this is the kind of crap that I wanted you to call me out on. I thought it would be fun. And then see, look at what Zazel says. No one loses a Megaforce DVD. It just goes to where it was needed the most. Yeah, because the good
What
guys
is
always win, even
Oh yeah.
in 2023.
No,
Hopefully.
but I do actually like Megaforce. It is pretty funny. I wouldn't mind, doing some of the characters from that. And I know you just started building one of the little speeder.
Oh, the Mega
So,
Destroyer.
hmm
Yeah, I'm working on the Delta Mark IV right now. It's actually right on that table right there. So it's about 2/3 done. So when I have Gaz on as my next guest
oh,
for Articulated Chat episode 4, we're going to
hmm
talk Megaforce and we're going to talk all Megaforce, and I'm going to have all of my vehicles done. So that's the anyway. So Megaforce, right? Ma'am, would you say that Megaforce is the best GI Joe movie? Yes or no?
Mm,
Here we go.
um, I mean, I guess if you wanted to make the argument, it's technically the first. So yes, the first is usually the best.
Yeah, that would be true, huh? I like
So
how you
because
split
it's
that
the
hair there.
original. So
Very good. All
yes,
right. Retaliation. Hans, you
yeah,
like Retaliation better than Megaforce? Matthew Comstock's the Delta Force. Yeah, Delta Force is a little different though, right? Because it's
it is.
ODA, it's Delta. It's like it. Yeah, Delta Force is good, but I I have to say I like Megaforce the most because it has that kind of future forward
Yeah,
with all the Megaforce, their vehicles and stuff, and when they're in their base and they talk about like, oh, you should see the boats, and then my mind's like, what does a Megaforce boat look like? How cool is that? It's
it
probably
looks
like
like
the
your
Bat
flag.
boat from the animated series. Yeah, it looks like
No, it
my
looks
flag.
like your flag.
But Megaforce is a little more in the vein of GI Joe versus Delta Force because whereas Delta Force is all, I don't want to say all entirely accurate because there's that whole motorcycle business, but Megaforce is very much in that GI Joe future forward though. They don't
Yes,
have XMLR 14 laser rifles, but they got these. So.
they do.
Oh man, look at this.
Hmm.
Hold on. So real quick, Hans answers. He says, "I don't know, man. I like Channing Tatum. It's the abs. Could wash his shirt on that." Yeah, I mean that's cool, man. I like Retaliation. I think Retaliation's good. I really like
I
the fact
like
that they
Channing
just.
Tatum too. I
Well,
like him. He's awesome. He makes a
I don't
freaking
dislike him
great
as
Duke.
Duke. I think they just kind of wrote Duke poorly. And that has nothing to do with Channing Tatum, but like the looks of Duke, the fact that he can act the part, I like it. And
Hmm
you know what? I'm going to give Patrick credit because he said confession time. I've never seen Megaforce, and I will give you credit for at least owning up to that. So,
See it once. It's worth the watch, even if you turn
that's
it on in the
so good.
background.
And then here's a question for you, ma'am. If they did a Megaforce sequel, would it still be as awesome? Would a remake be possible, or is it a product of its time? And if it's a product of its time, then why do we keep asking for G.I. Joe movies? You want to
So
take that? I'm going to let you answer all that.
I don't think Megaforce was a product of its time. Well, that's not true. You could technically argue that just because, it was sort of like that first movie leading up to it with one of those action movies with like the elite, fighting unit with all these unique characters and,
Phantom
you know,
Army, right?
yeah, like a phantom army, so to speak. You have your bad guys and you got your good guys, and you got people that break all the different molds and they bring all these wonderful things to them to be able to go jamming on. But no, I think obviously now if they were to do it, you don't have the same feathered hair look, and I'm sure the clothes would be a little bit more updated to include the vehicles, but I think that they could still definitely take Megaforce and somehow tie it into GI Joe and make like a sequel for Megaforce, or like the third, a true third installment of the GI Joe series, and kind of carry that along. I think that they definitely made a good foundation, and
Yeah.
it's just whoever wants to take it.
Do
It
you
just has
do
to be
you
somebody that really loves that stuff.
do you think that a lot of us have a fondness for Megaforce? Do you think if they made a sequel, a direct sequel to Megaforce, and they still had Commander Hunter and they brought back all the named characters? I mean, even if you got like deep in the weeds, like bringing back the actor who played like Six Killer, like just the
Right.
random, like the background Megaforce guys who would be like your background Joes. Do you think if they made a sequel to Megaforce, do you think that would be good? Do you think it might hurt? Do you think there's a possibility it might actually like make us not see the 82 movie as well as we do now?
Um, I think it depends on how they were to build the second movie. Like they could always do like a sort of play where, it's updated characters and you still have a few of the oldies but goodies that are hanging around and that have maybe like promoted their way through the ranks. I mean, you could take it a million different directions, and
Just
I think
just
it would
don't
still
do that.
make. Hmm,
Just don't do that Last Jedi shitty old hermit Luke Skywalker treatment on Commander Hunter. But I'm in
right.
total agreement with Gaz. He and I have discussed it numerous times that Megaforce doesn't need to be remade. It could just be continued. Like you were kind of saying
Yeah.
that too. So
Yeah, just sort of like, update some of your characters or add new characters, some of the old actors, bring them back, and, kind of build it that way. I think that would make the brand successful, and I think they could very easily, tie in to like a GI Joe movie with it. It just takes the right person and someone that has the right passion and the knowledge of both brands to sort of bring that together.
yeah. And yeah, Matthew Comstock and Pericles, yes, Henry Silva did die last year, which sucked. But his character, even though he and Commander Hunter knew each other and they went through all these, courses and schools and all this stuff and served together, he was not part of Megaforce. He was the opposing force in Megaforce. So yeah, I wasn't necessarily thinking bring him back. So we don't really need Duke to come back because he was just the kind of the quasi protagonist or antagonist. I don't really know how much of a bad guy he was, but whatever. And then Gaz should write the sequel. I would get on that Kickstarter. So. Anyway, so I just kind of wanted to crack a joke. Why is Megaforce the best GI Joe movie? Because it is.
Hmm.
And then we're gonna move on. So, ma'am, you ready? Hot seat.
I'm
3
ready.
questions.
Okay.
Who is your favorite Joe team member?
Okay.
Cobra, Dreadnought. Go. Take your time.
For Joe, I like Lady J. Cobra, obviously Baroness. Dreadnought, Heart Wrencher.
That I did know. Yeah. Yeah. Heart wrencher, which is a great answer because, like, you know,
She's kind of, I don't want to say obscure, but, kind of like the
newer. She's
random.
newer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's newer. She's definitely newer. I just kind of like her look and her feel, and she just carries a wrench. That's her weapon, is a wrench. I just, for some reason, I think that that's just kind of funny, unique too.
Um, Gaz, I love you, but sadly that's not possible. I could see in your head canon how Duke would be part of Megaforce, but yeah, too bad.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, heart wrencher. I like it. Good answer. And
Yeah.
then Matthew says, "Time for me to turn in. Good to see you all. Thanks, Shadow Man, for the great stream. Delta Force forever. You can't go
Thank you,
wrong with Delta
Matthew.
Force. You cannot go wrong. I just rewatched
No.
that like 2 months ago. It's so good. The way it just starts, and they're going to that
Hmm.
C-130. It's great. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Um, uh, so we had kind of already gone over this while George Aiken was still here.
Hmm.
What what'd you pick up? What'd you get yesterday? Did you get anything new? Get anything cool?
Yeah, I showed it.
I know. We were supposed to do it now.
Oh,
That's so rad.
like, yes.
We're gonna frame that. We're gonna put it right behind you.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
for anyone who
I got,
is, go ahead.
I got something else new too.
Okay, bye.
I'll be right back. I got,
No,
I got this. I got this new
oh,
too.
he's not new.
He's new.
He is old
He's
as hell.
unhappy. He's
Anyway,
unhappy
so
with me. I woke him up.
it, well, why don't you introduce him, ma'am?
This is my kitty. His name is Boogie.
Yeah. So that's Boogie for anybody who cares. He had a twin brother named Oogie, and Oogie was my Joe Room best buddy, and we lost
Yes,
Oogie. Yeah.
we did.
So I'm so kind of sad about that. And yeah, so there's nice panther. Yeah, he's huge, man. He's like 30 pounds. And there's
So fat. Did you freeze? Walter, you froze.
I think it's the weather.
There you are.
So sorry. We have really bad weather in town right now, and we're like right
We
up against the
do.
foothills, so it's not great.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're about done here. Anyway, sorry, we did lose some people.
Oh no.
Yeah, I did freeze again. So I wasn't trying to freeze. It's just the weather. And Scuba Pete says Boogie's awesome. So
Yeah.
Pericles says, "Ma'am, reboot your husband."
I'm trying.
I'm here, and I'm actually closer to the internet. I think it's just the
Yeah,
weather. So whatever.
it
We're gonna
probably
blame
is
the
'cause
weather because I don't ever do this
it's
otherwise.
fixing to snow. So
Yeah. And then Jeff says, been working on a campaign for the new oh yeah. So Jeff was telling me that he's like doing his own campaign for the new GI Joe RPG. You know, kind of like the whole D&D. You know, where you come
yeah.
up with stuff. And he created me and you. He made a
Yes.
you. So yeah, it was real cool.
Yes.
Very cool, Jeff. Thanks for bringing that up. And I'm gonna show it again because I'm sure there's some latecomers. I don't think Pete was here. Scuba, were you here when I showed this? Not the damn cat. Get that cat out of here. So, if anybody watched my awesome episode 2 with Scuba Pete, I said I was waiting on this to come in the mail. I know that the fog lights kind of broke off with that push bar, which sucks, but I can replace that. But babe, stop with the cat. Anyway, so I got the 83 Z Force Jeep with wheels. He's in there, so very cool. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. A communication wrong. Yeah, invasion. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, there's your cat. Get your damn cat out of here. Oh, here you go. Look, so this is what he was saying about his characters. Mine's a door kicker, and yours is a frontline leader. Like, dude,
That's cool.
I'll tell you what, man. Kicking doors is not.
No, it's not that fun. It's
It's not
terrible.
fun. It's not fun.
No.
Number one guy. Sorry.
Like people hate you. Just know that.
Yeah. Anyway, oh, I did show you a picture. Yeah, it's in hand now. Yeah. So I actually just opened that before the stream. So very cool.
Yes, you did.
Ma'am,
Hmm.
do you have any closing thoughts? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I just want to thank everybody for their time and stopping by. I'm not this elusive individual that pops in. I'm always happy to chat and say hello. And if you have any questions or you'd like any guidance on anything with like cosplaying or whatnot, please feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help. I'm always available.
Gaz
Yeah,
is so
nice
rad.
to meet you too.
Gaz is awesome. Gaz, are you coming to Joe Fest? I hope so.
I thought he said he was.
I hope so. And then Scuba Pete said this has been a blast. Thank you, Pete. We really appreciate it. Oh, I had one more.
What was your one more?
Remember how I told you it was a
Oh yes, you had a surprise.
I had a surprise. Hans asks, where would you have put RoboCop on Jay's scale, babe?
Which
RoboCop.
RoboCop?
The original RoboCop. We were doing 80s movies, remember? Even though, like, Hans, when we were all discussing RoboCop, and I think it was you, Hans, said you like the reboot better. My wife likes the reboot better, the Joel Kinnaman one.
Yes. Yeah.
But the original RoboCop.
What did you guys give it in Jay's?
I mean, it was grossly misplaced. What would you have graded it from an S down to an F? What would you have graded it?
That
Original
one, like,
RoboCop.
that one, like, kind of hurt me a little bit. Like, that one was a little more sad than I remembered it being.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Yeah. I don't know because it went up against a lot of good ones. I guess you could say like a B minus, C plus.
So you'd say B.
Yeah, you could say B. It's not like the best 80s movie, but you know, it's decent. It's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Oh, Gaz is coming. Just got my 3-day pass. Very cool. Very
Nice.
cool. I got mine too. I still got to get the rooms though. Pericles, had a grand time. Pleasure meeting you, ma'am.
Bye,
Very cool.
please.
Zazel, all these legends coming to Joe Fest. I hope it doesn't turn into a tickle.
What happens at Joe Fest stays at Joe Fest.
Stays at Joe Fest. Yeah. Chris says S grade. I guess he's talking about RoboCop. And then Hans says 2 for 2. Channing and the RoboCop reboot. First class, ma'am.
Yeah, I prefer the reboot. I thought it was great.
RoboCop's a freaking A. You guys are dum-dums. Not you, ma'am. Everybody else. They're all dum-dums. Chris says thanks for answering his questions. Very cool.
Of course, Chris.
All right, so before we go, who's that?
That's us.
That's you and me, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had to do something mushy, but yeah, that's always us. So
yes.
it's just an inside joke. The ma'am and I, we always text each other pictures of Baroness and Destro, but it's always them together. It's not one or the other. It's just we'll go hunting for pictures of Baroness and Destro together and just send them to each other. So.
Yep, we do.
Anyway, very cool. And then Gaz says, "Oh." Zazel says we're cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm coming to find Koala Man, Zazel.
Yeah. We're gonna go to Australia to hang out with Zazel and hunt for sticks and find Koala Man.
And the Kiki Burry.
Kookaburra.
Kookaburra.
Chupacabra.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway. Got any closing thoughts, ma'am?
No, I do not. It's been a pleasure and a privilege. I enjoy everybody taking their time out of their Sunday to come and listen and chat. I enjoyed all the questions. Thank you. Does anybody have any other questions for me before we go?
Give it a
Anything? Second. Work related? Job
I have
related?
a question. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you now see how quickly you can lose track of an hour and 40 minutes?
Yes, dear.
Anyway. Oh.
Sorry, I forgot what side my camera's on. Sorry, guys. Yeah,
I do that too sometimes.
Even Boogie does it too.
Anyway, ma'am, thank you for being my guest tonight. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for hanging out with me. The next episode of Articulated Chat will be the man himself, Gaz, and we're going to talk Joe, Megaforce, mostly Megaforce, probably some more Megaforce, maybe a little more Joe, but predominantly Megaforce. So come hang out with me and Gaz on the next one. And I'm not going to ask where everybody can find you, ma'am, because they can find you popping in on my screen all the time.
Yeah, because I don't have social media.
No, you don't. All right. Well, thank you, everybody in the chat, and thanks for being here, ma'am.
Bye, everybody.
We appreciate you being here.
I
Have a good night,
appreciate you all.
everyone.
Good night.